ZC Fire. To program the ZC Fire, go into the ZC Panel Configuration page in the Configuration Wizard. The ZC Fire must be selected as ID number 2. So under the Input to or ID to Type drop-down list, select the ZC Fire. This ZC Fire must be plugged into the top ZC input port on the back of the ZonePro. On the ZC Fire's dip switch settings, make sure to set the number 2 dip switch on and all others off. If using a ZC Bob, the ZC Fire should be plugged into the number 2 port on the ZC Bob, and the output port on the Bob would be plugged into the top ZC input port on the ZonePro. As for the dip switch settings, they should still be set with the number 2 dip switch on, all the others off. If daisy chaining ZCs together, the output port on the ZC Fire would be connected to the top ZC input port on the back of the ZonePro. The in port on the ZC Fire would then be connected to the rest of the ZCs in the chain. There are 2 different ways of connecting the fire alarm to the ZC Fire. You can either connect with a relay or contact closure switch, or using control voltage. The ZC Fire supports between 5 and 24 volts DC. You only want to use one of these connections. Back in the Configuration Wizard, go ahead and name this ZC. You'll notice the edit box off to the right will turn red. This is letting you know you need to configure your ZC. Left-clicking on this edit box allows me to program how this ZC will function. Selecting the Relay Closed Active High radio button means the fire mode will be triggered when either the relay switch closure pins are shorted together or voltage is present at the control voltage input. Selecting the Relay Open Active Low radio button means that the fire mode will be triggered when either the relay switch closure input is open or there is no voltage present at the control voltage input. You have 2 different options for programming how the ZonePro will react once this fire mode is triggered. The first option is to select Mute All. This simply mutes all the outputs. If you plan on using emergency paging through the ZonePro, this is not the option you want to select. The other option is to load a scene. This would work better if emergency paging was needed through the ZonePro in an emergency. You could simply create a second scene which would be your fire scene. This scene could be programmed to route an input or emergency microphone to all outputs and also deactivate or override other zone controllers to ensure that the emergency page will be heard everywhere.